I feel like I look more like a banker than a missionary, but that's fine.
I'm a sexy banker with a missionary tie.
Can I diversify your portfolio?
Hello, I'm Elder Gibby.
And I'm Elder Zimmerman, and we're dads.
Not daddies.
Okay, but really, that felt weird. I haven't called myself that in a real long time. We've gotten a lot of questions from people across our social medias about our background as gay men in the Mormon church, and so we thought we would take some time to talk about that specifically.
It being Monday night, we wanted to introduce the first video in a segment we'd like to call Family Homo Evening. Ding! We're going to be addressing various topics about Mormonism and the LGBT community, so if you have any questions, please comment them down below and we'll happily answer them in subsequent videos.
So when you think about Mormonism, most people think of the Book of Mormon musical, or like Utah,
Which is where we live,
or like Mitt Romney,
or polygamy,
or Donny Osmond for the older generation that might be watching.
or like David Archuleta.
He's not, is he?
He's a thing.
Is he out? Did he come out?
We're not talking about gay Mormons yet. We're talking about
Mormons. We're still talking about just Mormons.
Those are prominent Mormons, but when we use the terms Mormons to identify ourselves, we use it pretty loosely.
Kind of like how someone might call themselves Jewish or Catholic when they don't necessarily adhere to the very strict teachings of the religion.
Or even
it's like a cultural thing.
Like you hear about agnostic Jews, you don't often hear about agnostic Mormons, which I would consider myself to be one.
Right. The general consensus is sort of an all or nothing thing with Mormonism. However, there is certainly a cultural impact, and the LGBT community in Utah especially, you can see that that is very true.
Whether you realize it or not, there are likely some gay Mormons, according to that line of thinking, that you may already be familiar with, such as
Tyler Glenn from the Neon Trees.
Manny MUA from YouTube.
Did we have anyone else, or is that?
Oh no, Levi Foster from Instagram.
Benji Schwimmer from
Yes.
So You Think You Can Dance Season 1.
Yes.
All relatively notable gay Mormons.
Also our good friends the Home Depot boys.
Oh right, that little viral moment that happened a few years ago.
Yeah. Also grew up Mormon.
So,
none of these individuals I would say are currently Mormon, but
in terms of like practicing devout.
But neither are we. So
there you go. Side note, you'll notice that my name tag is white while Devon's is black. This is the normal missionary name tag, which you're probably familiar with from the Book of Mormon musical. This is the name tag that you get when you teach people how to be missionaries, which I did when I was in college. Fun fact.
I would say that our backgrounds were very similar in that we both grew up in Mormon families. We were baptized at age 8.
Which is the normal age for people to be baptized in the Mormon church.
We went to seminary in high school, which
is a thing
that
you probably don't know about.
Basically, what that means is we didn't drink, we didn't smoke, we didn't have sex, we didn't drink coffee or tea. We adhere to all those Mormon rules, and I would have described myself as very devout Mormon growing up.
We both went on missions. I was in Croatia, Devon was in the West Indies, in Trinidad and Guyana.
Yes.
When we both came home, we both attended BYU at differing times. We did have one semester of overlap.
But we didn't meet each other.
I probably would have made fun of him.
Needless to say, we were very devout Mormons for early on in our lives, and in our mid-20s, we, for different reasons, came to the conclusion that we would stop going to church, and we haven't looked back since.
Rooted in our nature as homosexuals.
And so some may wonder whether you're Mormon, or especially if you're gay and not familiar with Mormonism, why there is such a conflict between being Mormon and being LGBT. This probably goes along the same lines as many people who grew up in other conservative religions that were Christian and not Mormon. And so you'll probably see a lot of similarities here, especially with Christianity's concept of original sin.
For those of you who are not familiar with the concept of original sin, there's this idea that Adam and Eve sinned, and because of that, all of us are subject to the results of those sins, meaning being like separate from God or whatever. And so because The Christian view is that we are inherently flawed as humans and that we need to like go through this
repentance process
throughout our lives of like trying to be as close to their set of ideals as possible, that there is an inherent like lack of wholeness to every single living human.
What Christians call original sin, Mormons call the natural man, and both have to be overcome through Christ.
Also, for any of you like gay theologians out there, like don't come for us, okay? Like we're trying to simplify, so give me a break.
The Christian concept of original sin is directly at odds with the LGBT identity of being born this way, or having this part of our identity that is who we are. And for many LGBT people, when they come to realize that this was an inherent part of their nature, it's such a huge relief. It was for me, realizing that
it's not a flaw.
Yeah.
It's just a different way of being.
Christians see this as something that we need to overcome. Mormons see this as something that we need to ignore about ourselves.
Turn it off.
Like a light switch, just go click. It's a cool little Mormon trick.
Nope, that's it? Okay, I was ready.
Because of that fact alone, and because of the teachings in the Bible about homosexuality, the LGBT identity is directly at odds with the Christian identity. However, Mormons have an extra layer of complexity on top of that, which makes it difficult to be gay and Mormon.
Because Mormons have extra special VIP heaven.
Oh yeah.
On top of normal heaven.
That's not what it's really called.
So, in order to get into extra special VIP heaven, you have to be married to someone of the opposite sex.
Have children.
Yes.
And be married in the temple and live forever creating spirit children in our families.
That's where it starts to get weird. But basic concept is man, woman, family, etc., eternity. So like, you gotta put a ring on it to get past the velvet rope into God's heaven.
Right, and so there's a lot of family pressure and societal pressure and cultural pressure to live up to this expectation. And if you don't live up to it, you're kind of shamed in a way and looked down upon. And so people who are LGBT or who just don't fit that kind of expectation that Mormons have for them find themselves at odds with their entire worldview. For those who grow up Mormon and who find themselves in the LGBT spectrum, they have a few options. They can either, one, leave the church, which sounds easy, but oftentimes abandoning your whole support system and belief system is really a challenge.
Well, and it's not just abandoning your beliefs, it's also abandoning oftentimes your community.
Yes. So for those who leave, they have to deal with the challenge of leaving that community and belief system behind. Or those who choose to stay either have to deal with the conflict of that LGBT identity and try and like find some middle ground.
Or just completely deny it. However, as with all religion, Mormonism is not necessarily bad for everyone. We actually recently heard the analogy comparing Mormonism, as well as any religion, to peanut butter. I love peanut butter. I don't necessarily love Mormonism, so that's where the analogy kind of falls short. But peanut butter is not inherently good or bad, right? Like, a lot of people love peanut butter. Peanut butter is delicious.
But sometimes people die from peanut butter.
But people also die from peanut butter. So for them, peanut butter's real bad. But for the rest of us, peanut butter's not so bad. Mormonism is like peanut butter in that, like, we don't necessarily view any religion as good or bad. Just that for some people it is good, and for some people it can be entirely like deathly and toxic.
And just like peanut butter is nourishing and can strengthen you, Mormonism can do that for Mormons. But also, for people that are allergic to peanut butter, there are other things that provide you with protein and healthy fats.
That is not your sole source of protein and healthy fats. Also, you nutritionists, I know you're gonna come for us. Don't fact check us in the comments. We wanted to make these videos for Mormons who want to understand the LGBT community better, those who fall in the spectrum like we do of gay and Mormon, and
help them in their struggling with their spirituality.
Right, and figuring out where they fall in all of that. and also the LGBT community to understand Mormons better, because I feel like a lot of people just like understand like Prop 8 and the Mormons hate the gays. But let us show you why they hate the gays.
And we hope to help you understand that Mormons themselves don't necessarily hate the gays. It's really part of their doctrine.
It's a
doctrinal issue, not like a hatred issue. And so we hope to help to bring these things to light.
Comment down below if you have any additional questions. I'm sure this brought up a lot of additional questions for most, if not all of you. So comment down below. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up so that we know to keep making more. And make sure you subscribe down below, because more videos about gay Mormons coming soon.
And let us know if you like our costumes.
These aren't costumes. This isn't cosplay. This was like legit what I wore to work every day.
So as you're watching down below, if you have any
Watching down below, you little pervs.